jamming the switchboard, both here and at the incident room on that case of Welling Garden.
Just to remind you, this was the abduction and radio drop campaign and the handgun debate.
Hello and welcome to CrimeWatch. 12 people rang in giving the same... Those fantastic results later.
Hello, welcome to Wednesday's show. We have had lots of calls this week about our appeals already, especially on that shooting of a 9-year-old girl on Monday. Remember, you can watch that again on iPlayer or our website.
Today, do you recognise this man? Police want to speak to him after he duped an elderly man out of his life savings.
And we got more money crimes, this time with the detectives who hauled the biggest Bitcoin seizure in the world in a fraud orchestrated by the so-called Crypto Queen.
The amount of Bitcoin seized in this case is enormous.
Police! Police! Where you are?
You can't comprehend it.
She defrauded 128,000 victims and amassed £5 billion in Bitcoin. It is astonishing. And we'll also be hearing how the ill-gotten gains seized from criminals is being redistributed to initiatives designed to keep our communities safer.
As always, our team and the officers from today's programme are backstage ready to take your calls. All the ways you can get in touch can be found by following that QR code at the bottom of the screen, which will take you through to our homepage. Otherwise, the number to call is 08000 468 999, or you can text us on 63399. Start with the word crime, leave a space, then write your message. Or if you prefer, you can email us. The address is cwl@bbc.co.uk.
Now, you may have seen our first case in the news today as detectives are relaunching their appeal into the murder of 25-year-old Melanie Hall, who went out with friends one night and was never seen again.
Melanie was a loving child, very trusting, always seeing the best of someone. The two girls were very close, actually. There's only 23 months between them, so it was unusual for them to be parted.
I can remember the last time I saw Mel, and I can see her clearly in the doorway at my mum and dad's house. And she was wearing this pink flowery skirt with this beautiful blonde hair, and that is my lasting memory of her. She looked beautiful.
In 1996, Melanie Hall vanished.
Melanie Hall went missing back in June.
The 25-year-old graduate went missing from a nightclub in Bath.
The police and her family have concluded that she's been murdered.
Now, 30 years after she was last seen alive, police are making a renewed appeal for information about what happened to her. On June the 8th, 1996, Melanie had gone out to Cadillac nightclub in Bath. But the 25-year-old clerical worker never returned home.
I did feel right from the very first day that something has happened to her. And as the days have gone by, and the weeks and the months, I'm quite sure something serious has happened to her.
Then, 13 years later, in 2009, a skull and a set of bones were discovered by workmen clearing undergrowth near the M5 in Gloucestershire.
As they were conducting the excavation process, we found a gold ring, which was quite distinctive, and it appeared to still be on a finger bone of the remains.
I think as soon as I saw it, then I realised that it was Melanie's.
Tragically, Melanie had been murdered and left by the side of the road.
We had a young, vibrant daughter, happy, with a future in front of her. Today we have a bag of bones discarded on the side of a motorbike.
Detectives at the time hoped that analysis of new DNA found at the scene would lead to a suspect. But after years of degradation in the undergrowth, there was limited viable forensic evidence.
I never really tried to sort of think what had happened because I just felt that was making things worse. I just try, it's difficult, but I've just put it in a box and put the lid on it. I've asked the question why many times, and I think that's a question I'd like to get answered.
Now, 30 years later, Detective Chief Inspector Ben Lavender is once again asking for information from the public to finally catch Melanie's killer.
Melanie disappeared on the 8th of June 1996, which was the opening day of the Euros finals where England played Switzerland. Melanie had spent the day with her boyfriend and they all went out together with her friends and went to a barbecue that evening. From the barbecue, they went into the Cadillac's nightclub. They had a pleasant evening until Melanie was seen dancing with another man, and so Melanie's boyfriend decided to leave the club. The last people to see Melanie alive was at 1:10 in the morning on the 9th of June, and that was her friends who said goodbye to her and left the club thinking that she was going to go home with her boyfriend.
After that, there were no verified sightings of Melanie.
It's a strong possibility that she left Cadillacs with her killer. And we know that she collected her coat, so we're confident she left the club. But what we don't know is whether she got into someone's car. The discovery of Melanie's remains in 2009 was a massive jump forward for the investigation because we finally knew what had happened to Melanie. What we didn't know is how she got there, why she was murdered, and who killed her.
To this day, Melanie's family live in hope.
If someone was apprehended and convicted of Melanie's murder, it won't bring closure, but what it will do, it will mean that the last thing that we've been able to do for Melanie is to bring or to see her killers brought to justice. And we believe eventually we will get a result.
Me and Mel were just young women in our 20s then, and now I'm fast approaching 60 and Dad is 82, and I worry, how much longer will we have? And will we ever know if we don't get our answer soon?
As we heard there, a family just desperate for answers. I'm joined now by DCI Ben Lavender from Avon and Somerset Police, who you saw in the film there. Good to have you with us here in the studio, Ben. This has been a mystery for 30 years. What are you hoping to achieve from this fresh appeal today?
Yeah, thank you. As you can see, this is almost 30 years now since Melanie went missing, and we just really want to bring some answers to her family. They're still deeply upset by what happened, want to know what happened, and so I'm really hoping today that someone may come forward with some information that takes the investigation forward.
Well, fingers crossed. So let's start with just reminding us where and when you'd like viewers to cast their minds back to.
Yeah, so Melanie went out on the 8th of June in 1996. And that was the opening night of the Euros finals, which was held in England. England were playing Switzerland, and Melanie went to the Cadillac's nightclub, which is on Walcott Street in Bath. She went there later in the evening with her friends, and that was the last place that she was seen alive.
We can just see the Cadillac's club there on the map. Just talk us through what Melanie was wearing at the time.
Yeah, sure. So she was wearing a silk blue dress. We're confident this is an exact replica of the dress that she was wearing on the evening. She had the black shoes that you see there and a black handbag with the silver drop earrings, and she was wearing a white jacket. And these items have never been recovered.
Now, it was some 15 years later, wasn't it, Ben, that Melanie's remains were discovered, and this did throw up some fresh clues for you, didn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. So sadly, Melanie's remains were found on the side of the M5 motorway slip road at junction 14, which is just north of Fulfield and Thornbury. And Melanie was found without any of the items that I've previously described, and she was wrapped in black bin liners with blue rope. And as you can see on the screen, these may be really significant.
Talk us through the keys as well.
Yeah, so there were some Ford car keys found nearby to Melanie's body, and it's obviously unusual to get three same keys all on one key ring.
You never found the corresponding car or the owner of the keys either, did you?
No, we didn't. We've done lots of tests on the keys and previous appeals, and we still don't know to this day where those keys came from, and they may be really important.
Who do you want to hear from today?
Yeah, so it's really important for us today to hear from anyone who may have been in Cadillac's nightclub or is really concerned about someone with the three things, really. The fact that Melanie was found on the side of the M5, at the Cadillac's nightclub itself, and the blue rope and the bags. I think if someone can cast their mind and that all those three things mean something, we really, really want to hear from them.
Absolutely. And finally, there is a Crime Stoppers rewarding connection to this case, isn't there?
Yes, there is. Crime Stoppers have been really supportive of this investigation over the years, and they've put forward a £20,000 reward for any information that leads to the conviction of the killer of Melanie. And so if people prefer to report this anonymously through Crime Stoppers, then that's available as well.
Ben, thanks again for coming in and telling us more about this case. Fingers crossed somebody does come forward, as I say.
Thank you.
You can find that link on our website or get in touch using the contacts below if you have any information to share.
Thanks, Michelle. I'm now with Police Sergeant Mike Rogers from Northamptonshire Police, who needs your help to find this man. This is Jasveer Singh. He was one of our wanted faces on the series last time. This is an interesting case, Mike, because you know who it is that you need to find. You just don't know where he is. What's his suspected involvement in?
Absolutely. So this is unusual because it's a fraud committed by someone who's practising as a priest against one of his parishioners, conning him out of his life savings of £114,000. The pair met in India, where our victim went on holiday with his family, and Jasveer Singh was a priest out there. They struck up a friendship, and upon returning to England, the victim returned to his own temple, who were looking for a priest, recommended Jasveer Singh, and they sponsored him to come to the United Kingdom, where he practised at the victim's local temple. They continued their friendship, during which the victim, his behaviour changed massively, and it transpired that Jasveer Singh had been telling him a pack of lies regarding a dispute in India over property and land, a legal dispute which the victim believed, and resulted in him handing over his life savings, £114,000.
Absolutely staggering amount of money, isn't it? So how did you, as the police, get involved in this?
Well, it was reported to us by the victim's family, but not before they themselves tried to resolve it, and the victim's son even flew out to India in order to check out the story given by Jasveer Singh, which was deemed to be a pack of lies. So once he was back in England, they reported it to the police, and we took up the investigation.
OK, I mean, it's obviously had a huge impact on not just the victim, but the victim's family as well. They've actually given us this statement. After a lifetime of hard work, our father was finally going to slow down and enjoy time with his family. The impact of this was devastating. Today, our once strong and active dad is now completely bedbound, and our mum is his full-time carer. We are speaking out to seek justice and to warn others that vulnerable parents can be targeted. I mean, they're really strong words there, Mike, aren't they? And they actually believe that the frailty of the victim now is at least in part down to the actions of what happened with this man. Yeah, absolutely. Prior to meeting Jasveer Singh, he was a robust individual, took pride in himself, his family, loved his garden, and it completely changed upon meeting Jasveer Singh. His behaviour changed and resulted in him having a stroke, which, you know, probably brought on by the stress of the situation. The family are absolutely devastated because he's a shadow of his former self, and not only that, it's the financial impact as well of having his life savings taken. Yeah, it's massive, isn't it? Now, he has been arrested. He was charged. He didn't get to court, though. What happened? Yes, CPS authorised charges after a lengthy investigation, and he was due to attend court to face what he did. Unfortunately, he didn't turn up, and he's been wanted ever since. We've been unable to locate him. We get close sometimes, but he's evaded capture, so we're keen to get hold of him to
put him before the courts to get justice for the family.
Now, he's evaded capture, but he hasn't disappeared off the face of the earth because you found him in cyberspace, haven't you? Here he is. This is him actually working as a music artist, you've discovered.
Absolutely. He's going under the alias of Cobra Jat, producing music videos, and appears to be quite popular on YouTube with over 250,000 likes on his videos. Also selling his music on Amazon as well. So he is out there, and it appears to have quite a following. So people do know who he is and where he is.
And just finally, this is a targeted appeal, especially to the Sikh community around the West Midlands, perhaps, who knows where this man could be. That's what you want to hear from?
Yes, we think he's in England. Well, we know he's in England still, in the region of the Midlands, we believe. And we do believe he's being protected by people. So we urge people to come forward for justice for the family and also protect other people for becoming victims of him.
Mike, thank you. We hope we can give you some answers today. If you know anything that can help with this case, all the ways to contact us are on the screen below.
Now, from one con artist to another, in our series of exclusive films on the biggest crimes across the UK, we have an incredible story that you might have actually read about. It involves one mastermind, one con artist, 128,000 victims and £5 billion worth of Bitcoin.
The figures didn't add up.
I've got a search warrant to search your house.
We were shocked. The amounts involved were enormous. At its peak, it was worth just under £6 billion.
Police! Police! Where you are?
The landscape of economic crime is shifting.
The Met have a long history of investigating money laundering and fraud. And this is just an application of new technology to old crime.
In late 2018, police were contacted by solicitors dealing with the sale of a £24 million house in Totteridge Common, London, being paid for with Bitcoin by a lady called Jen Wun. Solicitors were suspicious of where the Bitcoin had come from.
I could see that Miss Wen had received a gift of 3,000 Bitcoins from somebody called Yadi Zhang, and the claim was that these Bitcoins had been mined.
Cryptocurrency mining is a legal process that creates new Bitcoins and keeps the Bitcoin network secure.
Bitcoin mining comprises two parts. The first part is moving Bitcoins around, and a complex mathematical sum is needed to do that. The second part is whoever manages to do that first gets rewarded with a certain number of Bitcoins. Those Bitcoins are new, fresh minted, and they're added to the circulation, and they're in the miner's wallet.
Police examined the public ledger of Bitcoin transactions known as a blockchain, and this suggested a different story to Wun's.
We could see that the Bitcoins weren't mined, they'd come from a crypto exchange rather than a first-generation mining. It seemed to be suspicious. The figures didn't add up, and because it was suspicious, I applied to the court and got an account freezing order, which meant that the money in the solicitor's account was frozen.
With suspicions raised, police delved further into Wun and discovered she was renting a mansion in Hampstead for £17,000 a month. She had also just given solicitors an £850,000 deposit for the house sale. They could see that money was coming from an unknown source and was being split into smaller payments in an attempt to avoid bank controls.
It appeared more likely that Miss Wen was involved in money laundering. So I obtained a search warrant, and on the 31st of October, myself and the team went along and researched the address.
Hello, I'm DC Ryan from the police. I've got a search warrant to search your house. For what purpose? Looking for documents and other documents and other items. Would you mind stepping out so we can go and have a chat, and I'll show you the warrant, because you get a copy of it anyway.
No, what documents are you looking for?
We searched the address and found hundreds of thousands of pounds. There was 20,000 here, 30,000 there. Some of it was in nice bags wrapped up in tape. Others were in handbags. There was cash almost everywhere. In total, it was a touch over £300,000 we found at the address.
Hello, madam. Pretty sure you're in bed. I've just got to record down your name.
During the raid, police discovered another woman was also living at the address.
Can you spell that at all for me?
Along with the seized cash, they took the contents of a safety deposit box, laptops and hard drives, which were all heavily encrypted.
We suspected the bitcoins were from crime. We had no evidence at that stage.
When they interviewed Jen Wan, she said she was in fact working for Yadi Zhang, the second woman the police found at the Hampstead property.
Miss Wen had given an account to the solicitors and banks that the bitcoins were mined by Miss Zhang and that she'd received a gift of 3,000 of them. This was confirmed in her interview, and she believed, in her words, that the bitcoins were mined. However, we know that that's not the case. So she was either lying or being misled by Miss Zhang. The suspicion was that these were from crime.
Police tried to contact Yadi Zhang, but she had disappeared. Then, a breakthrough. In July 2021, police discovered Yadi Zhang was in fact called Chen Jimin. She was a fugitive from China.
Chen Jimin was wanted in China for her role in orchestrating a truly gigantic investment fraud. She had defrauded 128,400 people between 2014 and 2017. Investors were promised massive returns and cajoled and convinced into investing more and more money into the scheme. She would attend and lead large sales conferences, and she had a almost supernatural aura to her, which she cultivated very intentionally. She made sure to wear a mask and really took quite a lot of steps to conceal her identity, whilst also using her charisma to attract people into the scheme. There was no evidence of this company really creating anything that would have been capable of generating any wealth. And what there was a lot of evidence of was Chen Jimin spending a lot of investors' money purchasing Bitcoin.
In other words, a scam akin to a Ponzi scheme. In April 2017, Chinese authorities began to investigate Chen Jimin, which is when she fled the country, taking the stolen Bitcoin with her.
Chen Jimin arrived in the UK in mid-September 2017, having flown first class. She arrived with only hand luggage. One of the first things she did was open an account at Harrods, and in the next 3 months spent about £90,000 on various luxury items.
She recruited Jen Wan as a personal assistant.
Zhang Wen, after meeting Chen Jimin, saw a massive change in her lifestyle. Prior to Chen Jimin's arrival in the UK, Wen was working in a Chinese takeaway in southeast London. They went on a little trip to Europe, Germany and Switzerland, going to expensive jewellery shops, seeing all the sights, just spending lots of money, really. Chen Jimin was very paranoid and very security aware. She would deliberately avoid to put her name to anything, and any dealings, she used Zhang Wen as the front person to take those things forward. They agreed to rent the Manor House property, which was £17,500 a month. Wen's name was on the tenancy for that, so she's moved from living above a takeaway to moving into a multi-million-pound house in Hampstead.
Wan's main responsibility was to convert Bitcoin into cash.
We can see from the text messages on Wen's phone that she met with a guy called Ricky, and they'd often meet, they'd exchange crypto for cash, 20, 30, 40,000 pounds at a time. She met in supermarket car parks. Wen told the buyer of the Bitcoin to avoid parking in front of CCTV. So that shows very much the clandestine nature that they were operating in.
Wan claimed she didn't know the Bitcoin had come from criminal means, but her actions were suspicious.
She searches for the Money Laundering Act and also countries that extradite to China. None of this is something that an innocent person would do.
It's always really exciting when you get to that stage of an investigation.
Well, it's an almost unimaginable amount of money, but you may ask, what happens to any cash or assets from what is seized from criminals? Well, we can tell you a sizable portion of it is often invested back into communities and given to charities.
We're now with Scott Jenkinson, who runs Youth Sheds, a charity that benefits from such funding. Really good to have you with us and to find out more about Youth Sheds. How did it all begin for you, Scott?
Back in 2017, in a place called the Havod in Denby, I had the privilege of working with a small group of young people, and we worked together on a young person's response to antisocial behaviour. And the first Youth Shed was born, and it sort of spiralled from there.
You've got
spiralled upwards.
12 Youth Sheds
we've got
12,
12 sheds across North Wales and South Wales now. And the vision is a youth shed in every town, a community of young people connected across counties, doing wonderful things for their community.
Fantastic. So it's gone from nothing to 12.
Yeah.
This is one of your sheds, but this shed has wheels,
It's got
Scott.
wheels.
This one's got wheels. So tell me about this. Why the bus? What does it do?
This is affectionately known as Betsy. Betsy, this is so Betsy is often our first point of contact with the young people that we want to work with. This will go out onto the streets and we'll do things like VR, we'll do engagement.
We can see that there. They're the goggles, aren't they? The white goggles we can see now. VR,
yeah.
What can they do with those?
We've actually made films with them with our young people on county lines and knife crime, so we can use it for education, but it's also a good engagement tool. Yeah. This vehicle was actually used to be a project called the Bus Stop, and then that finished. And we saw it in a car park, and I got one of my young people, Sonia, to put out one of our logos on it, and we sent a cheeky email saying, look good as a youth shed, and they, Group Connect, kindly said, come and get it.
That's fantastic. And you've had some real success. I mean, to the standard of Prince William has come to visit your youth sheds.
He came to, just at the end of last year.
Oh, look at this.
He came to visit, and he met probably about 30 odd of our young people, and he was amazing, and it was just a beautiful day for the young people to celebrate what they do, you know.
And we know this means so much to you, Scott. I mean, this is a personal mission for you, isn't it?
I'm a Christian, but before that, I was a heroin addict. I was street homeless. I was in and out of prison. And I had an encounter in 2008 that turned my life upside down. And now, you know, I'm no longer an addict. I'm a husband, I'm a father, I'm a son. And my faith, I say, is the fuel. And this is quite literally the vehicle that, you know, I've got a personal mission against county lines. County lines destroys lives. It destroys children's lives. And I hope and I see that youth sheds can help young people with what I got from my faith was identity, purpose and belonging. And I believe if we can build that in young people, a pro-social identity, a sense of belonging, a place in the community where they feel valued and that it's their community, I believe then we can really impact some lives. And it's through things like this, your community, your choice, from the Police and Crime Commissioner, Andy Dunbobbin in North Wales. You know, it's a perfect example of using that money because the members of the public vote for the project, so the community get a say in where the money goes, and then we use that money then for the young people to do good projects in their community.
Well, let's talk about that part of the funding then, because there is money that's been part of this project that has come from criminals initially, and you've been able to bid to put it into a massively good cause like this. How do you feel about that money sort of doing a full circle?
I love it because my life's come full circle from addict, criminal to teacher, and now chief shed planter, I call myself. I'm not a CEO, I don't like CEO. But now, you know, we've had young people come to this van who it's been their first point of contact. A young girl called Saskia, didn't have a voice. Now she's got such a voice, she challenges us about what we're doing in the community for young people. That's perfect. Another lad, Kalen, was referred by police, and he's just become a police cadet.
Oh, brilliant.
3 years down the line. Another lad, Owen, he's designed that T-shirt at the back there as part of our...
So that T-shirt we can see inside
County
the
lines
van
for
there,
good,
that's actually...
So,
that
yeah.
logo was designed by one of your youngsters.
Our OG, as we call him. He's absolutely flourishing now, but really didn't flourish in education and, but we met him on the van, we started a relationship, we've mentored, we've journeyed together. Yeah.
Good for
and
you.
2 weeks ago, he actually taught me mountain biking.
Oh, really?
So, you know what I mean? That's what we want to see.
Yeah.
Young people, not necessarily coming full circle, but just being the best version of themselves.
Oh, Scott,
and imagine that in every town, a youth shed in every town, connected.
I can see it.
Yeah.
Connected. County lines for good.
Yeah.
Well done, Scott. Great project. Well done.
Fantastic work you're doing. Really appreciate you telling us more. It's brilliant. And actually, these initiatives are available throughout the UK, so check online for more details in your area.
We're going back now to the hunt for the mastermind behind one of the world's largest ever Bitcoin frauds.
While police stepped up their search for fugitive Chen Jimin, they continued digging into her finances, uncovering 61,000 Bitcoin, the largest seizure of cryptocurrency in the world, and today worth almost £4.5 billion.
We were shocked. The amounts involved were enormous, and still are enormous.
The hunt was on to find fugitive mastermind Chen Jimin.
In early 2024, we knew that she still had access to some cryptocurrency. The wallet that we had identified had actually not had any use since 2019. We knew Chen Jimin was very good at covering her tracks. By this point, the trail really had gone quite cold.
And then in February 2024, the dormant wallet sprung to life. 8.2 Bitcoin were transferred to an exchange account of a man called Sen Hock Ling.
Knowing what we knew about Chen Jimin, we knew that she would hire people to assist her and carry out her dirty work. Sen Hock Ling had access to some of the funds that were still outstanding in this case. It also suggested that he may be in contact with Chen Jimin herself.
The unit spent 6 weeks trailing Ling across the country.
He was exhibiting a really unusual pattern of lifestyle. Sen Hock Ling was driving long distances in his car from his home address to seemingly unconnected locations. He was hiring short-term rental properties in usually alias names. That heightened our suspicion that his activity was aimed at concealing what he was up to. The turning point came when we identified an address in the Highlands in Scotland. We approached the owner of the premises. She did mention that it had been hired by a male who matched the description of Sen Hock Ling, but she also gave us a really, really crucial clue. She mentioned that they were traveling with a woman who Sen Hock Ling had described as his elderly mother. And he'd suggested that she was not very well and she was not to have any contact with anyone. It seems we might have just missed him.
Luckily, police could obtain CCTV from one of the rented properties they'd stayed in, and it confirmed their suspicions.
And it was the first time that she'd been seen on camera since 2019. We're very lucky we got that CCTV. It was just a moment before she puts the scarf over her head, but that really gives you a sense of how careful she was in the very short periods of time that she was ever outdoors.
In April 2024, police conducted a dawn raid on a property in York.
I remember going into the bedroom with Chris and immediately recognising the woman in the bed as Chan Jamin.
Police!
Police!
Where you are?
I think she was obviously in a bit of shock. I mean, we went through the door before 6 a.m.
Is it Zimin Kian? Do you speak English? Okay, my name's Stacey Woods. Yes, Isabel Grosser from Met Police, okay? You're under arrest, you're gonna be arrested for money laundering.
She'd been on the run for several years. She was clearly in a bit of shock.
I collected Miss Jan from her cell and brought her to the interview room. And she was hunched over, very meek and mild and pleasant. She was hunched over, walking very slowly, pigeon steps. And she brought her into the interview room where she could sit down. She was obviously pretending to be very ill. So I asked her about why she was walking so slowly and carefully when I'd seen her on video about a week earlier walking normally. And she got very upset by that, which was ironic because when I accused her of stealing from 128,000 people, she wasn't upset by that at all. I think the acting, pretending she was ill and infirm and being polite, it's all part of her manipulation. She's very good at targeting people, getting them to believe what she wants. And this must be true if you look at the number of people that she was able to defraud. Some very clever people in China fell for her lies.
Chen Jimin was sentenced to 11 years, 8 months for a charge of possessing and a charge of transferring cryptocurrency. Sen Hock Ling was sentenced to 4 years and 11 months for a charge of transferring cryptocurrency. And Chen Wan was sentenced to 6 years, 8 months for money laundering.
The amount of Bitcoin seized in this case is enormous. It's more than the gross domestic product of some countries. It is so huge, you can't comprehend it.
I was really proud of the work of the team. So many officers gave really unwavering support to this investigation and applied their skills and their experience and their passion to bringing it home. So it was a real privilege to be a part of that.
What an epic investigation. And as a direct result of those seizures, the Met have set up the country's first dedicated cryptocurrency investigation team that will focus on cryptocurrency use within organised crime. I'm now joined by Detective Sergeant Rebecca Corser, and she was part of the wider investigation team and works in fraud prevention at the Met. Really good to have you with us. Let's talk about the stats, first of all, Rebecca, around cryptocurrency, because they're alarming, aren't they?
Yes, they are. And over the last financial year, there's been 26,000 reports of investment fraud made in the UK, with losses totalling over £757 million. And 29% of those reports referred to cryptocurrency in some way, with Bitcoin being the most commonly mentioned. And the way that technology is changing is making it much easier for criminals to commit these types of fraud. So social media makes it a lot easier for them to contact us, and deepfakes and AI make the content that they're creating seem really, really real. So it's my team's responsibility, as well as a network of other teams around the country, to raise awareness of these types of crime and give people advice on how to avoid becoming a victim.
Are there certain age groups that are targeted more than others?
So for this specific type of investment fraud, it's impacting younger people than we see in other types of investment fraud, so men aged 30 to 49.
And what are some of the common dangers and concerns relating to cryptocurrency, would you say?
Cryptocurrency operates in a different way to other types of financial assets, which makes it difficult for law enforcement to take action if things go wrong. We also see technology being abused by criminals for committing these types of offences too. So them creating fake adverts, which seem really real to encourage people to invest. creating platforms or websites that look like investments are going up in value. In some cases, criminals will allow people to withdraw small amounts of the investment to start with to help build up the confidence in the scheme. And it's only when massive amounts been invested that they'll disappear with the funds and won't allow any further withdrawals. We also see a secondary type of fraud being committed where criminals will pose as financial advisors or solicitors who say that they can help get the funds back from the initial investment fraud. But sadly, this is another type of fraud that's been designed to get more money out of the victim who's already lost a considerable amount of money.
It's awful. It's just so sneaky, the tactics that they use as well, isn't it? I mean, how can anybody verify that an investment is legitimate?
So the first thing that we're wanting people to do is to stop. Don't be rushed into making a decision, and traditional legitimate investment companies won't put pressure on you to make quick financial decisions. We then want you to think, so is what's being advertised guaranteed high returns or being advertised as no risk? All types of investments have a degree of risk, and investments can go down as well as up. So any companies that are advertising otherwise should be treated with concern. We then want people to check, so is the firm regulated with the Financial Conduct Authority? Dealing with an unregulated firm means that you might not be covered if things go wrong. We also then want people to do some research. So criminals are really good at creating content that looks real, and people shouldn't trust anything that's being sent to them directly by these companies because it might be fraudulent. So we want people to check independent reviews, the FCA website or Companies House to make sure that they're dealing with the actual firm and it's not a near identical copy of what is a real firm. We then also want people to speak to friends, family or a professional trusted financial advisor before making any financial decisions.
Really good advice there. And it isn't just the financial impact that this type of fraud can have on victims, is it?
No, and sadly the impact of fraud is massive, and it, as you said, not just the financial impact. In some cases we've seen breakdowns of relationships, losses of homes, not being able to pay for bills, and really big impacts on mental health, including in some really tragic cases, people committing suicide.
And we've just got this here because it's important for people to report. They can report to reportfraud.police.uk, can't they?
Yes, that's the new reporting platform for fraud and cybercrime in the UK, and people can get help once they've made a report.
Rebecca, thanks so much for joining us this morning and telling us more. The Met has put together some useful information actually on how you can protect yourself from cybercrime, which you can find on our website.
Just got time for a quick update for you. Last series, we asked for help to find this man, Christopher Spellman, who had been released from prison last summer. He had been sentenced to 7 years in 2014 for offences including sexually assaulting a girl under 14. He was put on a sex offenders register for life, but then after his release, he refused to stick to the conditions of his licence, so police launched a series of public appeals to find him. They believe the 66-year-old was living off-grid and travelling around the UK on public transport, staying in campsites. Well, in February, he appeared at Crown Court for sentencing in Swansea after pleading guilty to breaching sexual offender notification requirements. He was sentenced to 10 months in custody. That's it for today. Thanks for watching. Remember, you can catch us on iPlayer or see those appeals on our website. Do check out our Facebook page as well. Some clips from this series already had nearly 1 million views this week. Hello, it's fantastic. Michelle, you're going to be back with us on Monday?
I certainly am, and you're going to be joined by Steph McGovern tomorrow, aren't you?
I am, and we've got a busy one. We've got a plea from the heartbroken family of 16-year-old Aman Shakur. He was killed in Walthamstow, London in 2018.
We're still baffled, why did this happen? Who did it? Why would they want to do it? What could a 16-year-old have done which was so bad to be shot in the face?
Do you know anything that can help his grieving family find peace? I'll see you next Monday.
And I'll see you tomorrow, same time, 10:45. Bye for now.